Okay, so this is a super duper 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 cool trick on rehabilitating complete body mechanics. Right, so I talk about correct form, correct technique, and doing something correctly is basically anytime that you're using all of your body systems all at the same time, all together. So every muscle is engaged, your fluidic mass is being used intelligently, all that. And so a lot of the time, our technique is incorrect in that it's not that like, oh, your back isn't aligned or your head's not in the right position and stuff like that. It's more that like, oh, I'm doing this and like, what's disengaged? Well, like every muscle here is disengaged while you're doing a squat. If you're doing a press, like you're not using your toes. It's when you're not there with the fullness of your being, right? And so if you're a complete healthy human, you naturally are everywhere in your body, and so all of it helps. But if you get injured or things atrophy, you can tend to not lose stuff. So it's like, how do we activate certain things? It's difficult to activate some stuff, just like it's difficult to balance, right? It can be difficult to balance, or it can be difficult to swim. If you put swim fins on, it's easier to swim. If you have a stick, it's easier to find your balance if you're using it to help your balance, right? So with this, we're using two implements to aid, to open the window to find and engage full muscular recruitment. Like, let's say that it's totally off. You're using this technique to, rediscover, refine like full muscular recruitment. And then once you found it, you work it for a couple of days or whatever, even one session. And then once it's there, you can find it without the implement or without the tool. And so it just becomes natural. The two tools on this is the trampoline or some sort of springy surface. And so what this does is part of full body, correct body mechanics, is that the muscle, every part of the body needs to ground. What does grounding mean? Grounding means pushing off the ground and tractioning into it. You don't just want to do it just with your feet, and it's people kind of obviously do it with their legs, but you can press your neck, or even your hands can go into the ground, and all that needs to be happening. If your muscles are pressing into the ground, you get a little bit of a flotation effect, obviously, because equal and opposite, so you get a flotation effect that is equivalent to the body part's weight. So you become very light. The other thing is that you want full body engagement, full body recruitment. The way that the stick can help that is it gives you something to rotate against. So I'm rotating out this way, and then I'm countering that rotation so that I basically have if I grab the stick, I have two spiral pathways, boom, and I can kind of fall into that. So my arms are counter rotating onto the stick, and that puts everything under tension. That lets me activate muscularly just about anything. I can start tractioning my back into that rotation, my hips, right? So this is helping me recruit my upper body, and even the lower body and the legs. And then the trampoline is opening that window for grounding. A lot of the times when we ground, if it's not in the right direction and not in the right place, we don't notice it as helping our movement. The trampoline opens that up, and it makes it so that any way that we push tends to help propel us forward. So with this, counter rotation, and then so you find full body tension. It doesn't have to be like, death grip. It's just, is everything there? And then using that entire tension pattern as a single object, so the entire muscular system is a single tensile structure, then I swim that whole structure into the trampoline. And I'm wanting to swim so you can practice movements, right? Let's say if we were going to do this in a martial art bit, you have movements like a hook, like a punch. You can practice those rough movements using the stick to help you maintain focus, the same way that you're using a stick to help you maintain balance, right? So the stick is helping you to maintain focus, which is systemic tension, attention, full body attention, full body tension And then once you've found that full body tension, practice engaging it into the trampoline, and that's the same as engaging your foot into the water to swim. So you're engaging your foot into the water to swim, that propels you forward. You're engaging your full body tension into the trampoline, that propels you from side to side or anything else like this. The trampoline will make you extremely, extremely good at what I'm talking about. And that's why on a trampoline you're able to jump so high, you can land relatively safely, and so most people just ignore what the trampoline is actually doing and then go on to these high acrobatic things. If you use it, you can use a rebounder or use a trampoline to simply open your sort of gravitational grounding window so that it's huge. Just like fins open your fluidic grounding potential for your feet, the trampoline opens up your terrestrial grounding potential the same way that the fins open up a fluidic grounding potential, and you just have a bigger paddle, a bigger fin, a bigger thing to swim in. And so you can see I tend to not recruit a lot of my backside for just anything, and so these you can do very, very intuitive, easy warm-ups, and you can focus in on areas that you know are stiff or underutilized, areas that have become dead or fibrotic. That is from it not being used in your everyday daily motion. So if you have back muscles that just seem like stiff cables, or anything that's like just kind of like that crunchy, not healthy tissue feel that you would want to go see a massage therapist for, that can be treated with this. So I'll focus on my neck. So I just grab the attention, the body tension, and then I want to be focusing on swimming with all of it. What am I swimming into? The trampoline. But I want to make sure that I'm using my upper thoracic and keeping the tension in that area engaged into my movement pattern. And it's just like doing reps of crap for your shoulders or whatever. This isn't like a trick or anything. This is just a rep for neck rehab. And if you feel like you have forward head posture, or that you don't look good from certain angles in pictures or anything, that's simply from a lack of muscular recruitment on one side. Very, very easy to fix that using the stick and the trampoline. No matter how atrophied or how injured you are, and how much of a difficult time you have recruiting those muscles, between the stick and the trampoline, you can do it as well as the best person in the world. Between the stick and the trampoline, you can do this qigong to a level that's much, much higher than a very, very well-trained practitioner that does not have the stick or the trampoline, right? And so there's lots of different tools, water, objects, whatever. You have to realize that these objects, if you use them correctly, they enhance your internal proprioception and your internal skill to a tremendous degree. And if you realize that, you can use the stick to have a practice that is as effective as a professional obsessive person would have without the tools. The same way that like anybody that learns how to shoot a gun is roughly the same level of lethality at 15 yards versus somebody that can throw really hard, or you know, it equalizes it. Tools tend to equalize the playing field, because granted, it's better to be more skilled and have a tool, but when you're more skilled with no tools, the differential in performance is huge between a skilled and unskilled person. Once you both start using a tool, like a stick or a gun or a shovel or a backhoe, the skilled person's still going to have a little bit better performance, but for these basic activities, it's going to bring the unskilled, the untrained, the undisciplined person closer to that of a disciplined person. And so you can use it to find the stuff that you need to be looking for that would normally be nearly impossible for you to attain or access without a tool. Things can seem incredibly impossible without tools, but with the right tool, you can do anything. And so the most useful tools are not like heart-brain synchronizers with computers and just fancy stuff like that. It's all simple levers, simple hydraulic systems, simple spring systems, stuff like that is what lets you like very powerfully level up your internal practice game, right? Even if you're going to be breathing, just focusing on meditation, sitting, if you are on a trampoline or on that, it opens even just breathing on this thing opens the window of, oh, my breath needs to be grounding into the ground. Like it makes it very perceptible. Perception is a skill. Everything that I talk about is based off of your perceptual ability. And so if you have low perceptual ability, which is basically also if you're not very healthy, if you're not very strong, if you're not very capable, your perceptual ability will be kind of low. And so internal, meditative, esoteric techniques will not work very well for you because of the internal blindness. But just with a little bit of a stick, it's like imagine if somebody goes, oh, use your sensitivity to feel what's happening like right there. You'd be like, oh, and you could become the most sensitive person in the world, and suddenly you're able to feel what's going on right there. And then otherwise with a stick, hey, I know what's going on 6 feet away from my body, 5 feet away from my body, because I have this stick enhancing my perception. And so the same thing, you can know what's going on with all of these tiny little muscles, using the stick just to ever so slightly engage them, just enough so that they're in your awareness and they're being used to do whatever motion that you're wanting to kind of drill or practice doing. So super good warm up. You can take this up with weights, and then once it gets going, like I'm still like once I'm interested enough in the stick that I'm like listening, I can use that attention and still be engaging with the stick, with my neck, or with the muscles attached to my scapula. And if they're really not very sensitive, boom, there, I'm definitely able to both recruit, feel, and use my backside attachments, which might be not in the best condition. And so let's say you were wanting to practice a thrust. What's the correct technique for something like that? It's going to be not just here, it's not just going to be, oh, use your hips. It's going to be, use everything. Use everything. And then also use everything to push into the ground and have the ground assist and go into the stick. So even that. So it's just very easy to go through a checklist and make sure that you're using everything. And as you use more of everything, your ability to fathom a larger everything will increase, and you'll be like, I didn't even have that on my radar, but I can start using it now. And this is why these different kung fu forms, these exercise routines, just make sure that you're practicing using everything for different movement patterns. And that's that.